Kindred you might imagine, which is bringing iconic characters to life, like Hello Kitty and Pudgy Penguins, on your screen as essentially your AI assistant and companion. But the way that I really actually started Kindred was more from an angle in which I was researching AI through my master's and our current PhD research on how we form emotional connections with AI. And so the reason why I guess the reason we need emotional connection in the first place, and you'd probably be familiar here, every single day there are new AI agents coming out. Right, hundreds of new AI agents. All of them are competing against each other, and whilst there are many ones that are addressing very niche areas, right? So there are AI agents for specific websites or specific companies, and very specific use cases. All of them face one kind of major problem, which is extremely low switching costs, and that's actually the same with major LLMs. So even the past month, I'm sure you guys as well have switched between something like OpenAI to DeepSeek, and then now apparently the best functional model is XAI, right? Elon Musk's XAI. So like we continue to switch very easily between AI models. And so to create a solution that one addresses that market where we can actually create loyal users to a particular AI, and then the other side is actually to create, from a consumer's perspective, something that actually sparks joy and delight into people's lives, and we want to keep with us throughout our entire day and throughout our entire life. So that's the kind of big picture, two areas that Kindred tries to address.
It's interesting because it sounds like it's collectibles in a way, but much more than that. It sounds like it's collectibles that are alive and like a partner or a companion. Is this kind of a companion AI agent?
To a degree, I think that I don't like to call them collectibles as much as you call your dog a collectible, right? Like so the relationship you have with your dog, that is how I ideally would have your relationship with something like a Kindred, right? And so first and foremost, you get a dog simply for companionship because you want to build a bond with that particular pet. And then it also potentially could provide some functional benefit, right? So your dog might get out and collect news for you, right? Or provide you with other benefits throughout your entire day. So with the companion, you go into it with the idea that you actually just simply want a companion by your side, right? A Pudgy Penguin or Doodles, whatever it ends up being, on your screen. But then slowly by slowly, you realize, actually, I am starting to rely on more of our functional queries, from things like organizing my calendar to even just going to like Midjourney and generating images. It does it all through that singular interface, which is my Pudgy Penguin, let's say.
So I'm going to throw parts of your deck up on screen. I figure we're on video. It's great to be able to show things. But if you could describe the agents as far as their functionality, like people are very used to agents right now, at least their current form. People are used to maybe trading agents. That's kind of a new meta right now, or alpha agents. And then you've got the agents that are just pure personalities on X, maybe like a Cerebro or you know, those kind of agents. What will these agents look like, feel like? And then I'd be curious to get into some of the IP branding stuff too, what that looks like with in agent form.
Probably the easiest way to describe it, if you can't show the video, is if you remember Microsoft Clippy, right? So if anyone here remembers Microsoft Clippy, it was just like essentially it was an early AI agent to a degree on your Windows computer to teach people how to actually use computers back in the early 90s and 2000s. And so it existed on top of your screen rather than within a particular website or application. So it was always persistent, like a floating window. That is how our agents work as well. So on top of your browser, but also on top of your mobile. So we're releasing with mobile toward the end of the year. It'll be on top of your apps as well. There's a key feature and benefit to that. But you can see how that translates into essentially having that sense of presence with your companion itself. Oh yeah, you have it on screen.
I forgot all about that guy actually. So good.
Well, it's because you didn't have an emotional connection with it.
Yes,
that's
correct.
fair.
And like, you know, on the screen previous to that, like when I was checking this out this morning, I saw Bugs Bunny, which, you know, I'm old enough to where that was a part of my Saturday morning routine. And so it immediately triggered something, you know, that was positive. Yes. So I think like at first glance, like this is what has me most excited about this. It's not I get the companionship, which I think, that's a whole other discussion about how AI can fill that gap. But what I like is how it's bringing, it's bridging the outside world with what we're building here in Web3, which is something I've always been passionate about. So yeah, bring these characters. Hudah, I know like you're big with the Web3 native IP.
Right.
It took me a while to come around to that. I'm still going to, lean back to my roots and what brought me into Web3 in the first place. I love the idea of bringing, I think I even saw that in your deck, Max. Was there maybe some screen where it's just here's Web3. This is just a small piece of the puzzle, and then this is the rest of the world where the Warner Brothers characters and all kinds of other IP live. If we can make that connection, into Web3, that's how we grow this space. And yeah, I think it'd be even more powerful if these things are filling those emotional gaps you were talking about that AI can uniquely do.
Yeah, and even blur the lines between
Web
and Web2 IP, right? So like, why even have that distinction in the first place? Technically, all Web2 IP, if there's a benefit to being on Web3 and they can connect with their fan base, then why shouldn't they also become Web3? So to me, it's like there's no limitations to bring all of these Web2 IP, the ones you're so familiar with, Bugs Bunny, Hello Kitty, we have like things like Astro Boy, Paddington Bear, right? These ones, they're nostalgic IP. And to bring them back into the limelight, right? Not only to re-expose them to generations like yourself, right, that remember them watching them as kids, but also your children as well. Like, how do they get exposed to these kind of characters?